All right, so we are just finishing up kind of with this onion harvest phase, and the next stage, how these onions actually get marketed and end up in your grocery stores. We are at an onion packing shed here today. Super excited to be here. What's gonna happen is these onions are gonna come in trucks, they're gonna be stored in the bins, and they're gonna be packed in a facility much like this. So we wanna take you in, come with me, and we'll show you the process. All right, so join me here. What happens is these onions come in for the field in big trucks. They're binned out into these bins, as you can see, and stacked inside these onion facilities. So it's a very good storage system. Within these bins, it allows a lot of air to be forced through the system, so we don't have moisture, so we don't have rot. They're kept at a very cool temperature as well, for those same very reasons. These things could be marketed for 6, 7, 8, 9 months throughout the season. But let's say we get a big order for these onions. Now you'll see, what they'll do is they'll start grabbing these bins off here and pulling them out for packing. So we've got yellow onions being packed right now. We'll take you through the whole facility from A to Z. So fresh out of the storage facility, they're staged temporarily right here. As you can see, they'll be snagged by a loader, forklift in this case, and they'll be brought over to the source supply where they go in. They're dumped. It's happening right now as we're seeing. They'll be dumped and they'll be sent through the packing shed. All right, so we wanted to show you the source of all these onions as they come in. So they're brought in these bins and they're rarely sorted at this point. They'll come in bulk, be sent down to the unit to be stored and packed from there. All right, so these bins of onions come inside this facility. As you can see, they're kind of coming down the conveyor here. A lot of times at this point, they're already sized. They're going up onto a conveyor to be bagged out. Come over here and check this part out. So they come down into these bags, which are 50-pound sacks. So they'll be sacked out in these 50-pound bags. They're measured exactly to be in that size profile and range. And then they're gonna be packed onto pallets and palletized. As you can see, what we've got over here is a little bit different size on the sort. The bigger ones are getting cast off over here. The smaller ones are coming into this channel as well. So these would be more of the grocery, smaller consumer type packages that oftentimes end up in the grocery store. They're a little bit easier to utilize for families. Some of this other stuff is utilized more, these bigger size, in the restaurant industry, dealing with less material. Ultimately, the fate is the same though. These are 50-pound bags sacked up, just like you see here. They'll go down on, and they'll be packed into consumer pallet-sized bags and distributed from there. Next part of this process, after these things get packed into 50-pound bags, they're brought up to the palletizer. As you can see, they're coming off the conveyor right now. They'll follow through down into this palletizing. They're being stacked in a certain sequence, as you can see, and they'll be layered out on these pallets down below. Okay, so once they are stacked and wrapped, as you can see, here's the final product in a warehouse, temporary warehouse, where they're staged for shipments that are going out daily. So this will occur on a day-to-day basis from essentially September all the way through to April of the next season. It's a long marketing window. These onions can be stored successfully and still have good quality for almost 8-9 months in a lot of cases. All right, so not all onions are the same. They're not all the same varieties. They're not all the same colors, and oftentimes they're used from a culinary perspective for different reasons. So these are a Spanish yellow onion. They're not a sweet onion. That would be sourced from like Walla Walla and Vidalia. There are a few sweet onions in this area. Over here, we've got some white onions as well. They're just gorgeous onions. They're a little bit more mellow. And then as you can see, as we move down here, we've actually got some reds. These reds oftentimes are the type of onions that you would use in a salad, or you would cut fresh and eat fresh. So lots of different varieties of onions used for different reasons, and they all go out to different locations, through supermarkets, through restaurants, direct to some consumers. Behind me, you'll see the final phase of these onions as they come out. They'll be loaded on a truck. If they're just going a little ways, they might be on a flatbed truck like this. Oftentimes, as you see across, we'll have reefer trucks. That's the most common. And then we also have reefer rail line systems as well. So these things can be sent a variety of ways to different areas, but ultimately they all end up in our homes. And we're lucky enough to be able to eat these things together as a family for holidays, different things that really fills our cup. So we want to thank farmers, we want to thank packers, and we want you to appreciate what they do to bring this food to you. So before we take off, we just have one final thing to do. We want to thank our farmer, and we want to thank our packer. So big shout out to Asamende Produce, Mingo and Ruben Asamende, and all the fine people that they have at this packing facility. Thank you so much for letting us come in here and share your story, how this is accomplished, so the consumer can understand what it takes to eat an onion and have an onion on your table. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.